Hello, YouTube! Okay, it is time for Chapter 8 of Guardians of Magic. I have Shire folk back with me.
Mike Yvonne in YouTube.
So yeah. I'm really sorry it took so long to get the last chapter up. I can't say that enough, but hopefully I will be able to get all of the currently out chapters done really quickly.
And hopefully I will be sitting along through most of them.
Okay then. Let's get started then. Chapter 8. Course is laid.
Disclaimer, E4. You sunk my ownership of MLP!
Yeah, he has a little thing like that at the beginning of every chapter. They get progressively funnier. Okay. Come on now, you can do it. Are you Pegasi or porcupines? Rainbow Dash pumped her forelegs up and down as she flew backwards above Sora and Kairi. Bah.
You haven't even read a full sentence yet. Stuttering over words.
It's like 10 o'clock. I've been up for like 14 hours.
Okay.
And I just had a piece of pizza.
Okay.
There's probably still some in my mouth, and that might be why.
Okay.
Okay. Sora and Kairi, encouraging both of them to get some... That... I keep reading it! I keep reading it! Like, I'm reading both of them as I am reading the end of that line.
Would you like me to read the narrative?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Encouraging both of them to get some use out of those wings of theirs that she hadn't seen them flap even once. For a moment she wished that she had her hat and whistle with her, but she didn't, so she'd have to double her efforts with just her voice. You call that flapping? Harder! Rainbow Dash? Fluttershy said quietly, fluttering up to her on her own wings. I don't think they're quite getting it. Rainbow Dash snorted and peered down at the two Pegasi, each of them flapping their wings while they walked towards Celestia's throne room and audience chamber. Okay. It looked as though no matter how hard they tried, they just couldn't get enough lift to propel their bodies into the air. Reminds me of Scootaloo, Dash muttered to herself. Forever a dodo. Thinking of the orange filly and how all she could attain was a buzzing hover of just her abdomen. However, Scoots was just a filly, and these two were grown Pegasi for Celestia's sake. If Horsepower was able to fly with 9.8 wing power with his tiny little wings propelling his huge body, then those two certainly shouldn't be able to get off the ground. Echo. Harder! You'll never get anywhere with weak flapping like that. I'm probably going to edit in Horsepower's yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Horsepower's not really... We don't really have an official name for him, but Fanon is Roid Rage, but Roid Rage doesn't quite fit Ponyville, so it's Horsepower.
Yeah, I've heard Horsepower, Roid Rage, Skyroid, which is what my friend calls him, and Wing Power. Don't ask me where Wing Power came from.
Yeah, we're just gonna call him the same thing that the measurement of the strength of their wings is. Okay.
Yeah, I have heard one person call him that, and I'm pretty sure it was because they forgot Horsepower. Yeah. Okay, continuing on. She had wondered which one of them would snap at her first, considering how hard they were working and how little progress they were making, and Sora proved to be the one to break. Weak flapping? I'm busting my wings off trying to take off, and you're just sitting there lazily hovering with butterfly strokes. Why in Tartarus is this so damn hard? Dash scoffed and dropped onto the ground. She flared her wings out, making sure to showcase every single feather on both, and deliberately preened them. Because you're doing it wrong. And check out these babies. I've been training to make them the strongest, most powerful wings in Equestria since the day I first heard about the Wonderbolts, which was the day I was born. I'm the fastest thing alive thanks to these babies. And suddenly Sonic music starts playing in my head. Okay, continuing. Rainbow Dash, Applejack interrupted. I can pump out sonic rainbooms just by gliding, Rainbow Dash continued undaunted. Bullshit. Just gonna say that now. Although I can understand why you would put that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's boasting.
Yeah. When we boast, let's be honest, we all exaggerate.
Mm-hmm.
Rainbow Dash, Rarity tried to begin. I'm sure that was horrible.
Not too bad. I mean, my Rarity would just be like, Rainbow Dash.
These are one of the few times that I wish Colt was with me right now. You don't know who that is, but he has the most hilarious Rainbow Dash, not Rainbow Dash, Rarity voice. You first-timers can't compete against me when it comes to wing strength. Dash, Twilight barked. Rainbow looked at her, annoyed that so many ponies were interrupting her awesome moment. What? None of that boasting about your own ability is going to help them fly, Twilight told her. The unicorn apparently almost as frustrated as Rainbow Dash as she was with Twilight for interrupting her. You can't just command them to fly and expect them to obey, and you can't do sonic rainbooms while you're gliding either. Looks like Rainbow Dash wasn't only preening her wings. Not yet, anyway, thought Rainbow Dash. I kind of want to see that, actually. Doing a sonic rainboom while gliding. Although I doubt even in the pony universe that'd be possible.
Theoretically, diving is just gliding.
Point made. Okay, continuing. Twilight's right below... What the hell was that? For some reason I inserted below. I don't even know. What the hell was that?
I think there was a boat or something in that sentence. I don't know. Twilight's right, rain boat dash. I think that's what you were saying. Oh my, Twilight's right, Rainbow Dash. I think they're all on a boat. I don't know if they can swim or anything, but they certainly can't fly.
Twilight's right, Rainbow Dash. Fluttershy commented. They've never flown before. You just need to treat them as though you were teaching a tiny foal who's just starting to learn. I'm sure that Fluttershy would never say anything like the way I just read that.
Oh, no. I don't really think that she would.
Enough with that.
Oh, my Fluttershy voice isn't very good.
No. It's just making things funnier.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Ugh, Dash moaned. A foal? Seriously? Fluttershy nodded her head, and when she saw that all of her other friends were doing likewise, Rainbow Dash face huffed and sighed. She turned her attention back to Sora and Kairi, both of whom were panting from the exertion of rapidly beating their wings and getting nowhere fast from it. Echo. Sweat beaded their coats and saliva lathered in their mouths. All right, look, your wings aren't that strong yet, but give it time and practice, and you'll be flying before you know it. Just feel the natural air currents as they flow around your body, and this part's kind of hard to explain or understand, but for the first little bit, you need to kind of ask or even will them to help you. Our wings aren't big or strong enough at first to generate the lift we need to get off the ground. So we need that extra teensy bit of help from the start. But soon you'll be up in the sky without any What the hell am I doing?
Skipping words.
Without any help Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3 Z. That sentence wasn't that hard. Why did I screw it up so badly?
Because you're trying to read too quickly.
Enough of that. To demonstrate, she took off with one quick flap of her own wings and hovered easily above the group once more. Both new Pegasi glanced at each other, sharing a look for a long moment. Then Kyrie said, "We'll work on that. Thanks, Rainbow Dash." Heh, Dash laughed, not even sure if her advice made sense to any pony, including her. "No problem. Just try not to tire yourselves out too much. I don't want to have to do any daring and heroic rescues because you're dropping like a stone 400 hooves off the ground." "All right," Twilight said, coming up to a pair of double doors guarded by 2 unicorns in the golden armor of the royal guards, each carrying a broadhead spear. "We're here." Twilight turned to one of the unicorns, a golden-orange mare with a red and yellow mane, and smiled at her. "Captain Fire Opal, we're here to see Princess Celestia." The unicorn guard smiled back at her, and her horn lit up with teal light. "I gathered that, Twilight Sparkle. Go on in. You caught her at a good time. The princess just resumed royal court." What was I going to say, cart?
Yep.
15 minutes ago. But why am I screwing up my words so badly suddenly?
Because you do it half the time. Don't kill me.
No, it's okay. It seems that my slurring of words has gotten progressively more common since Chapter 1.
Is it just on my fic, or is it on the other fics, too?
Well, me slurring words on the fics I read on the Fanficsational channel, you probably do not know about that, is kind of a running joke at this point.
Oh, okay.
And, I don't do it on purpose, though, but it's become kind of comedic for the people who watch those.
Oh, yay, he's slurring his words again. I'm just gonna keep doing a Fluttershy voice, even though it's terrible.
It's not that bad. I've heard worse.
Oh, I don't know if you could have heard worse.
Trust me, I have. Okay, continuing onwards. The unicorn guard smiled back at her, and her horn lit up with teal light. Oh, wait, I already read this part.
Yeah, you want the next sentence.
Yeah, I thought the guards were being deployed across Equestria, Rainbow Dash asked, peering at the unicorn with her magic open the doors. Or while her magic opened the doors. How did I get with and while mixed up? They're not that similar in appearance. Most, yes, the guard captain answered, but we're all divided into different companies and divisions. I'm the captain of Princess Celestia's personal guard. And how many of you are there? Pinkie Pie asked. 4, divulged Fire Opal. Pinkie placed a hoof on her mouth and thought. I guess I don't need to throw as big a party as I was planning then. Is the pay good? Dash asked. Captain Fire Opal gave her a look, and then nodded her head towards the open door. Go on. Every pony could hear the sudden chill in her voice, and quickly entered the audience chamber. Nice going, R.D., Applejack mutters as the doors swung closed behind them. I forgot to do the accent. Whatever. Hey, it was an honest question, Dash fired back. Personal guard to the princess? Why wouldn't it pay well? How come there are so many captains? Fluttershy asked meekly, glancing back at the doors. Captains are like mice, Twilight answered. They're everywhere, but many consider them the most important rank a pony can have because they lead and command their ponies right alongside them as they do their duty. How is that like a mouse?
They're like mice in that they're everywhere.
Okay. Because the butt kind of implied a continuation. I'm just going to stop now. Most ponies of higher rank sit back and plan operations while captains and their lieutenants implement them. Okay, after a brief conversation about the pronunciation of lieutenant/lieutenant, I have decided I'm going to reread that sentence because he is the author, and his word goes.
I am God, my word is law.
Pretty much when it comes to this.
Exactly.
Most ponies of higher rank sit back and plan operations, while captains and their lieutenants implement them. Every pony looked at her incredulously. She lifted a hoof and jerked her head back in bewilderment. What? My brother's a captain. You think he wouldn't make sure I knew exactly what his job and rank in the Royal Guards detailed, did you? I screwed up reading that, realistically. No one would say it that way in real life. Whatever. Anyways. Well, that makes sense, Applejack said. But would you look at this line? It's going to take us forever to see the princess like this. Rainbow Dash landed and frowned, shaking her head. Applejack was right. There were at least 20 other ponies in front of them to petition Princess Celestia with their concerns. Should we come back later? Spike asked. No, Spike, Twilight answered. We'll just have to wait our turn in line. But Twilight, Rarity began, you're Princess Celestia's own personal student. Surely you have a direct line of communication to her. Of course I do, Twilight.
Twilight's talking to herself now.
Of course I do, Twilight. Twilight said, no. And this is why I hate the fact that I always read ahead.
Redo.
Indeed, redo. Of course I do, Rarity, Twilight answered. But I'm not going to abuse that privilege just to cut in line of other ponies who may have legitimate concerns on their hooves. It's Princess Celestia's royal duty to listen to her subjects and hear their opinions and concerns. Your world's in danger, Sora said simply. I'm pretty sure that absolves you from abusing your connections.
Wow, Sora.
He does have a point.
Yeah, but I was saying for Riku's, wow, Sora.
Yeah, I was just commenting on that. Riku commented dryly.
You used the word absolve correctly. I didn't even know that you knew it.
Sora rolled his eyes. Rainbow leaned in towards Twilight. Hey, what does absolves mean anyway? Twilight groaned and face-huffed, to which Dash couldn't help but feel somewhat insulted. He meant that I wouldn't be taking advantage of my closeness to Princess Celestia since it's an emergency. Oh, Dash said. Why didn't he say that in the first place? He did, Rainbow Dash, Rarity mumbled. You just didn't understand him.
Close enough.
Yeah, that was a horrible accent, wasn't it?
It was close enough. We're not professional voice actors.
Yeah. Rainbow Dash opened her mouth to fire back some snappy line that she was sure she would come up with in time, but couldn't, as a louder voice beat her to the punch, echoing throughout the audience chamber.
Presenting Mr. Jet Set and Mrs. Upper Crust. 1,000 pardons for interrupting your royal affairs, Your Majesty.
Jet Set said after bowing before the solar diarch of Equestria.
But my wife, Upper Crust, and I were dining, quite peacefully, mind you, at Three Horns Cafe along Silver Jewel Road earlier today, when the most hideous black animals ran by and began terrorizing all of the patrons. My wife was in such a state of shock that she almost tore her laissez-faire gown while we were leaving before they could knock over our table. We would like to see these barbaric, miscreant animals removed from the Canterlot Gardens before next year's party.
Yeah, you'd really do an amazing Jet Set voice.
Why, thank you. I perfected it over many years.
You said that before recording. Also, I think I said this last chapter, but I love how you use Diarch instead of Monarch.
Yeah.
Because most people use Monarch, despite the fact that...
Which doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's two rulers. They're Diarchs, not Monarchs. Laissez-la faire, Rarity whispered, diamonds in her eyes as she stared at the That's a dress and jewelry ensemble. I've used jewelry and dress for that. Upper crust was swearing. Who? Rainbow Dash asked. Why, she's only one of the most famous and well-known and talented fashionistas in Canterlot, Rarity almost shouted. Her designs are some of the most stunning every season on the runway. I don't think that matters much right now, Rarity, Twilight grumbled. I understand your concerns, Princess Celestia said to Jet Set, the princess's voice carrying across the chamber, even to where Rainbow Dash stood. I ask you not to overly worry. The Royal Guard has been dispatched to deal with these animals, and the bearers of the Elements of Harmony have been summoned.
The Elements of Harmony?
Upper Crust asked.
You mean those barbaric ruffians from Ponyville?
Jet Set clarified. Barbaric ruffians? Rarity growled, Rainbow approving of her sudden change in attitude. Oh, it is on. I might just insert a sound clip there.
Go ahead and do it.
Yes. Don't rise to the bait, Rarity, Sora said, placing a hoof on her shoulder. Guy's not worth it. But he just insulted us, Rainbow Dash argued. You expect us to take that lying down? What a party pooper, Pinkie muttered. Princess Celestia's voice overrode everything else. I think you might want to be a bit more careful around whom you say that to, she told Jet Set. One of them is my personal student, and she and the rest of her friends are right behind you. Dash loved the smirk she gave when all the other ponies in the room turned and looked at them. Ah, Twilight Sparkle, it's good of you to come, Princess Celestia called, beckoning them to come closer. They did as she bid. I see that you've retrieved the elements from Canterlot Tower. The spell worked, then? Actually, Princess, I have no idea if the spell you taught me would work or not. Twilight apologized. Kyrie unlocked the door to the chamber where the elements were kept. Not me. I didn't arrive until after the others had already recovered them. You unlocked it? Princess Celestia asked, turning her head towards the pink Pegasus. But how did you... Never mind, Kyrie. I see that the Keyblade is a more powerful tool than I first took it for. You betcha, Kyrie replied, beaming with pride.
Princess Celestia.
Jet Set began again, though more cautiously this time, Dash noted.
I see that your bearers of the Elements of Harmony have arrived, but who are these ponies with them? I believe that there were only 6 Elements of Harmony, not 9. And what is with that hideous chapeau?
Upper Crust queried, looking positively revolted at the beret on Kyrie's head. Kyrie snorted angrily and looked about to start a fight when some pony else spoke.
Well, I should say that they are with them because they are more than likely assisting them.
A completely different voice with the accent of Canterlot's elite speculated.
Considering how friendly they're being with one another and the princess, they must be quite special ponies as well.
Fancy Pants! Rarity exclaimed cheerfully. How wonderful is it to see you again. Fancy Pants is one of my favorite characters.
He's mine too.
Yeah.
The pleasure, I can assure you, is mine, Rarity.
Fancy Pants greeted. He turned towards Princess Celestia.
If you will excuse me, Your Highness, my concerns have been allayed for the moment.
You are really good at these accents.
I like British accents.
Yeah, British accents really are some of the best.
I'm a Python fan. I've emulated British accents ever since I first started watching Monty Python.
I need to watch more of them. I've seen only a couple of their skits and about half of the Holy Grail.
How can you have only watched half of Holy Grail?
It was an in-class thing.
Oh. Then
yeah.
Then I guess you didn't get to see the Castle Anthrax.
No.
Anthrax? Oh, yes. It's not a very good name, is it? Oh, but we are nice, and we will attend to your every need.
Yeah, we watched up to about the Knights Who Say Ni.
We are now the Knights Who Say Iki, 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 Patang, Zoboing. I have this movie memorized. Don't tempt me.
I will keep that in mind. I will keep that in mind for the future. Okay.
You're at very well.
Yeah, I found it just as you said that. Very well, my friend, replied Princess Celestia, nodding her head at him. I look forward to our next meeting. Give my regards and well wishes to Fleur. I hear she's expecting.
That she is.
The well-dressed stallion replied warmly.
And we're both very excited for it.
Fancy Pants nodded at Princess Celestia, and then he gave a cheery smile and nod towards Rarity and her friends before leaving. Princess Celestia turned to Jet Set and his wife. Do you have any more concerns to bring before me today, Jet Set, upper crust?
I suppose not,
drawled Jet Set, turning his eyes onto the group of ponies that had come forward at Princess Celestia's summons. You may take your leave, then, Princess Celestia answered. There was no princess there. I just expected it to be there. A subtle hint of firmness in her voice. Both opulent ponies' eyes widened and they made their haste to exit. Rainbow Dash couldn't help but smirk superiorly after them, especially after Kairi subtly half-tripped upper crust and bumped into her, only to apologetically help the uptight pony back to her hooves so that she could leave. You sure showed them who's the boss here, Princess, Rainbow Dash said smugly. Princess Celestia gave Rainbow Dash what the Pegasus assumed to be a humored smile from atop her throne, and turned her attention towards the other petitioners. I must apologize, but I shall be taking a short recess to consult with the bearers of the Elements of Harmony and direct them as we deal with this upsetting turn of events. I must ask you to leave the audience chamber for the moment. You'll be resummoned shortly so that we may continue. It took a moment for all the other ponies to leave the audience chamber, leaving only 2 royal guards behind at the base of the stairs leading to Celestia's throne. She began to stride down the stairs towards them, speaking as she went. It is good that you have retrieved the elements, Celestia told them, for I fear that we'll have need of their power soon. What do you mean, Princess? Twilight asked. Celestia shook her head. I'm not sure, and that's what worries me. She looked at Sora, Riku, and Kairi. We know very little about the Heartless besides what you 3 have told us. So far, it appears as though my little ponies have only encountered some of the weakest strains of their species, correct? Well, there was a pair of stronger Heartless that I'm sure are specific to your world that attacked us in the ballroom, Sora mentioned. But for the most part it looks that way. Celestia nodded her head. I've received several reports already from Royal Guard teams that were dispatched, Celestia announced. It seems as though none of the settlements in Equestria have been bothered by these creatures besides Canterlot so far. This does not meet with my expectations. Sora, is this normal behavior for the Heartless? Yes, normal behavior for the Heartless. I don't know how I screwed that up. Sora hung his head for a few moments and pawed at the ground while he came up with an answer. Dah. In a way, it sort of is, he said at last. The Heartless seek hearts, so they would go to major population centers. But they go after stronger hearts above others. Since me, Kairi, Riku, and Ray are in Canterlot, and Trixie, Twilight, and the rest of the Elements of Harmony, and you and your sister are here, Princess Celestia, the only other place they'd really concentrate around would be the keyhole when they find it. So that's it then? Twilight asked loudly. It doesn't matter where I go. I'll just draw them to me like I've got a big bullseye painted on my flank? She glanced around. I can't go back to
You can't even say Ponyville. Wow.
I looked at the line below it and saw Tundra, and it jumped into my mind. I can't go back to Ponyville, or head off to Lost Pegasus, or hide in a bunker underneath Huffington, or even run to Zebraca or the Great Tundra. They'll just keep following me. Don't think about it too much, Kairi said quietly. Rainbow kept her gaze on Twilight Sparkle as the unicorn rounded on Kairi. Twilight's eyes wide and nearly hysterical. Don't think about it. How can I not think about it? I'll have twisted creatures of darkness coming at me from out of thin air. It's not like you've been... Her voice suddenly trailed off at the solemn looks she was receiving from the trio. Rainbow Dash felt a pit open up in her gut as the three Keyblade-wielding ponies gazed quietly.
Restart the paragraph.
Actually, I was already recording, and you kind of caught all of that, if not a bit of it.
Oh.
So I'm going to resume the sentence I was on.
Oh.
Okay. Rainbow Dash felt the pit open up in her gut as the three Keyblade-wielding ponies gazed quietly at the unicorn that would soon join their number. Pity wasn't something Rainbow was comfortable feeling, and she couldn't imagine the fear that must stay with them day in, day out, knowing that they were constantly hunted by the creatures that they hunted in return. Okay, scrolling down. Don't think about it too much, Kyra repeated. She was just as quiet from the first time as now, but now her words reverberated round the hall as she shouted. They leave us alone for the most part, because no matter how mindless and instinctual they are, they know that they can't beat us unless there are hundreds of them or one or two really big ones. So they ignore our hearts and go after the powerful and strong hearts of different worlds to get at Kingdom Hearts. However, when we show up to put them down and stop them or their masters from meddling, they come after us in force. So don't think about it too much. It's a circle. We try to stop them from doing terrible things, and they try to stop us from stopping them. Well, you won't do it alone, Rainbow Dash said quietly, trying to evict the pitiful feeling that she was experiencing in her stomach. So long as we're here, we've got your backs. You said it, Applejack added. Rarity and Fluttershy agreed. And that goes for you too, Twi, Applejack reminded her. Even if we'll never fully understand everything, I can tell you that we'll still be here for you, Sugar Cube. It gets worse as the chapters go on. Progressively.
Yep.
Twilight hung her head, and Rainbow Dash could see a smile slowly appearing on it. Oh, you guys, she mumbled. Sora placed a hoof on her shoulder, drawing her gaze up to his. And we'll be with you every step of the way, he told her with a reassuring grin. Our friends are our strength. We don't go it alone if we can help it. Princess Celestia nodded her head. That is a very wise sentiment, Sora, and I believe I agree with your assessment. She looked over at the assembled ponies and nodded to herself. Even with the royal guard dispersed, we should be safe enough here in Canterlot with myself and the guard that's remained. Therefore, though I have no authority over you or your friends, Sora, I ask that in the morning you depart Canterlot with the elements of harmony and escort as escort. I wish I had something to hit myself with, but the only thing in my vicinity that I really feel would do anything is a glass plate, and I don't want to hit myself with a glass plate.
Internet slap.
Yeah, as escort and search for this world's keyhole. There we go. Pinkie Pie gasped. Really? We get to go with them? That's so cool. Our first stop can be Ponyville, and oh my gosh, there are so many exciting things that I can show you. First, we have to go to Sugar Cube Corner so you can meet the cakes, and I can show you their Twin Falls Pound Pumpkin Cake, and you get to try some of Mrs. Cake's delicious cupcakes. Then we could go to Vinyl Studio, and I can give you a tour of her DJ equipment, and we can record a couple of tracks with you and all. Oh, Lyra would totally love to meet you guys so you can have a nice long chat about humans. But and then there's Daisy's flower shop and the bowling alley, and Twilight runs the library, and Rarity's got a fashion boutique. Or we could just go back to Sugar Cube Corner and make sweets that we can surprise the Foles and Shirley's class in the school at...
How do you make her stop?
Riku asked with his hopes in his ears. It's really difficult, Rainbow Dash answered, eyelids twitching. Pinkie Pie continued to babble uncontrollably, her words spewing out of her mouth at a rate that was making it hard even for Rainbow Dash to understand where there was now in her list of Ponyville's attractions to newcomers. I need to catch my breath for a second. There. Pinkie! Twilight roared. And then Gummy jumped out of the meteor and he fired a laser beam from his mouth that totally destroyed the rogue rampaging cupcake, and I went, ha! Yes, Twilight?
It was supposed to be like, I can't really do it, but it was supposed to go. And I would, Like her gasp thing. Yeah, so you can insert the soundbite for the gasp for the yes, Twilight.
I inhaled too deeply.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, insert soundbite for the gasp and yes, Twilight.
Yeah. Rainbow Dash blinked. She'd never heard any of Pinky's rants end like that one. However, none of them got a chance to answer her after she'd suddenly shut up as the sudden sound of cymbals and a quick drum beat changed all thought in Rainbow Dash's mind to, what the hey is that? What is that sound? Rarity asked, watching as Sora quickly dug his nose into his right saddlebag, which appeared to be the source of the rock and roll song. Or J-pop.
J-rock.
Well, yeah. I'm not sure, Rainbow said, bouncing slightly on her hooves, and I've got no clue what they're singing, but I like the tune.
It's his phone.
Yeah. Riku answered as Sora pulled out an object in his teeth and quickly raised a hoof while continuing to play the song.
And that music means that Ray's calling him.
Phone? Fluttershy asked. Dang it, Sora muttered, trying to work the odd device with his hooves. Stupid, needs fingers. Aha! The music stopped playing, and Sora raised the rectangular device up to his face. Yes, Ray? Uh-huh. Okay, we're on our way. He pulled it back from his face, and the heavily determined but somewhat confused expression he wore as he tried to press something on the device was simply priceless in Rainbow's opinion. Touchscreen cell phones were not made for ponies, he muttered when finally finished. And if they were made for ponies, they'd probably be the size of an iPad. He muttered when finally finished, the device back in his saddlebags. He placed a necklace bearing a three-pointed silver crown around his neck, then dropped down onto all four of his legs. There, that's better. I was wondering where it was. I was also wondering why it was never mentioned up until this point. There's my explanation.
Because I forgot to mention it. Honest answer, I forgot to mention it.
And this is you, like, explaining why you didn't mention it.
Yes. It's like,
very well played.
There's a plot hole here. Sora's not wearing his crown pendant. It's in his saddlebag. He doesn't have it on, that's why.
Yeah, very well played. You don't look like you without it, Kyrie agreed.
She does
there.
Not watch Glee. She does not watch Glee.
Yeah, and neither do I, actually. Kyrie... I called Twilight Kyrie. How do I screw up that badly?
You were just reading the last sentence, and you were looking at the sentence. And the one you're supposed to be reading.
I think I kick myself harder when I'm reading this with you than when I'm reading this by myself.
Because you have an audience this time.
Yeah, and I feel that I am not doing it justice while you are actually here to criticize my reading.
Oh, it's fine. The only anything I can ever criticize was, one, you were saying lieutenant instead of lieutenant, but other than that, it's like you're not trying to do voices enough. In my opinion, it's like, wouldn't it be cool if you just like tried to do a voice for as many of the characters as you felt confident that you had a voice for, or something, but like, or just making up a crazy voice. Like, for whatever reason, I want whatever reason I want to do Goofy as Nappa. Hey guys, I'm Goofy. How's it going? I'm gonna do a Nappa Goofy. How's that?
And Goofy's going to appear later, and I'm going to hold you to that.
I will.
Because I know Goofy's going to appear later, and when Goofy does appear, I expect you to, if you're not actually in the call, to record lines for Goofy, you reading him as Nappa.
I will do that.
Yes.
I will find a recording program, and I will record it, and somehow send it to you.
You could send stuff over Skype, and I recommend Audacity, because that's what I use.
I think I've got Audacity.
Yeah, we should probably get back to this.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Twilight tapped the hoof to her chin. Dah. So if that was Ray speaking to you on that device, then what does she want? She's in the infirmary with Trixie, and apparently she has something amazing to show me. Ray paced back and forth by the door to the infirmary. Sora was coming. She knew he would, and that would mean that she'd get to show him what Trixie had just taught her. She'd never seen Sora do what she'd just done. She'd never seen Kairi or even Naminé do it either. He had to be impressed with her. But what if it doesn't work this time? What if I can't get to work like I just did? What if I freeze up and forget everything I just learned? It's not that much, but still a lot more than I could ever do before. Ray glanced at Trixie, the mirror lying on the bed and watching her with something like an amused smirk playing across her face. Ray looked at her anxiously for a couple of seconds before she continued her pacing. Her heart was pounding in her chest as the seconds ticked by with the soft clip-clop of her hooves. It doesn't matter what she said about how I picked it up so quickly from her instructions. Wait, maybe I should take a couple of deep breaths first and remember the steps. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. She gave a shuddering sigh and glanced over at the spoon on the table. Okay, first, search inside for the focal point of my energy. There, got it. Just between my eyes. Now, grasp inside the arcane font and draw its energy out through my horn. Ray's eyes were closed, so she couldn't see that her small scion horn was now being surrounded by a faint yellow aura. Now, feel the object in your mind's eye, and take hold of it. She felt the spoon atop the bedside table that Trixie's empty soup bowl was resting on. It felt as though she had covered a hand in warm liquid and was picking it up with that limb, even though she knew that she was still standing several feet away from the spoon. Her limbs were beginning to tingle, and a slight pinching sensation was occurring right between her eyes. But she ignored it and opened her eyes anyway. Giddy with pride was the only way she could describe how she felt when she saw the spoon floating in the air in a yellow cloud of magic light. There. I like how you actually go into deep description as to how, telekinesis works. Usually when you read fan fictions, they're all like, oh, it's easy, you just have to imagine it floating, or something like that.
Yeah. There's one of the fanfics that I've been reading, I think, what is it, The Powers of Harmony or something? I really like the way that the author of that dealt with unicorn magic, in which they all had a font, which when they looked in, it was like either it was a pool or Twilight's right now is like the size of a small lake. That's just their magical energy, and they then access the font for whatever spell that they want to use, and it siphons up some of their magic. And then either way, like if their font gets like way too low, they start entering like magical fatigue, magical exhaustion, and then it just gets until it's like very dangerous levels, and it recharges with sleep.
Yeah, The Powers of Harmony is in my read later list. I've started reading it. I've started reading it, but I have a lot to go on, and I haven't read it in a couple weeks.
Well, it hasn't updated for a couple weeks, so you're okay there. Have you read, this is off topic again, have you read Project Sunflower?
I've heard of it. I have
Project Sunflower. It's awesome.
I will keep that in mind. Okay. Wow, that is impressive. The spoon fell to the ground, Ray's concentration broken. That's Sora's voice. The filly whirled around, surprised to see her brother standing at the door, Kairi beside him and the other ponies coming through after. She stood in shock for a second, her mind running in circles. He saw it! He saw it! I wasn't ready to show him yet. Wait, he saw it! I would try doing a voice for Ray, except I do not have any basis as to what Ray's voice would sound like.
Okay, bass voice for Ray. I'm a guy, I can't do it.
Yeah, I was about to say, please don't do it. Because that would probably be funny, but
it would destroy her character. I can't do
yeah.
voice.
Yeah. I don't want in like
No, I'm not going to do it. So.
Yeah, I don't like if you were to do a Ray voice, I would probably have that stuck in my head as the voice of Ray for all time, and I don't want that because Ray is a great character.
She is a great character, but we already discussed this last time.
Yeah. Sora Nichan, she exclaimed, cantering towards him in a sudden blur. Did you see it? Did you see me levitating the spoon? He chuckled. I did. I'm impressed. It's something that I've never been able to do. Maybe I should ask Donald if he knows any levitation magic.
You honestly think that Donald knows magic like that?
Riku asked. Sora shrugged. Twilight Sparkle walked closer to the bed and stopped a respectful distance away. How are you feeling, Trixie? The other unicorn smiled bashfully and nodded her head. She turned her head to the side, but still met Twilight's eyes. I'm doing much better. Thank you for asking, Twilight Sparkle. I admit that I should probably thank you for the kindness you and Princess Celestia have shown me, so thank you. You're quite welcome, Trixie, Twilight answered. Did you teach Ray that, or did she figure it out on her own? She learned from me, Trixie answered, looking at the beaming filly. Bleh. She is an excitable student and quickly grasps the basic concepts, but my first apprentice has done well for the day. Ray felt another bubble of pride well up at the praise, and blushed when she felt Sora's hoof stroke the top of her head. I'm glad that I've been able to spend a bit more time around you, too, Twilight continued. You're not as bad a pony as I had first figured after all the false boasting you did. I'm sorry I judged you. It's all right, Twilight Sparkle. You were right to pass judgment on me if you did not like my act. I also apologize for the words I spoke to you when I left Ponyville. I was confused and angry at being upstaged by a pony who'd run away from my challenge.
Well then.
Riku spoke up.
Since we're all going to be traveling together, and it seems that you've gotten a couple of things straightened out between you two, why don't you give being friends a shot?
I really like the way that you... I think I said this before. I really like the way that you did Trixie and Twilight communicating. Most fanfics that I read when they have Trixie in it, they seem unrealistic in a way.
For Trixie?
Yeah. She feels like a totally different character, not in the sense that she was this boastful character that was humbled, or she just feels like a character who has been given reason to feel like she is completely useless or she hasn't learned anything, and let's be honest, she had to have learned something from that.
Yeah, either way, the most I've seen of Trixie, or more often what I've seen of Trixie in fan works afterwards, after the episode, of course, is either A, it's somewhat like mine in that the next time you see her, she's at rock bottom, she's willing to try and rise up or something or other. She's trying to get back on her hooves, but she still has her pride. Or B, she has hit rock bottom and she has no pride anymore, and she's totally moping, and the gang and Twilight and the gang need to bring her back into being Trixie. Or C, she hasn't learned anything. She's still a haughty showmare, and even if she's down on her luck or whatever, she's still a haughty showmare and thinks she's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, the only fanfics I can say I've read that
or one, she's still somewhat successful as a showmare, and maybe she's learned a lesson or two from her experience in Ponyville, but she's still Trixie, and she's still going, and she's still boasting, but nowhere near boasting as badly as she did with all of Ponyville. I've
never read one like that. The
that
only
was in, that last one was I can't quite remember the name of it, but it was this one ship fic in which this one guy was shipping unusual pairings or pairings that didn't show up often. So the first chapter was with Twilight and Soren, and there was a rainbow.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah,
I know
Twilight
that.
Soren, on
Arrow
the
Screaming, right?
Yeah,
Arrow
Screaming. Yeah, that's the one. And it was Pinky and Trixie. So
really?
Yeah, Pinky and Trixie is the last chapter, and so he hasn't gone through and finished it with uniting all of the couples that have somewhat sprung up and going, you're with you, Dash going, Twilight, why are you with Soren? And Mary going, Dash, why are you with Fancy Pants?
And I'm sure Rarity's going to have a thing or two to say about...
she's with Braybird.
Right. I'm sure she's going to say a thing or two about Fluttershy being with Prince Blueblood.
Yeah. But she's with Braybird, so I'm surprised that she's with Braybird.
Yeah, like,
left field.
It's better than how Brayburn's usually interpreted, though.
Like he's in Cutie Mark Catastrophes.
I've only really seen like fan work. And like every like fan work that I have ever seen of Brayburn depicts him as gay.
Oh, I've never seen anything with Brayburn depicted as gay. I've just seen Brayburn depicted as well-meaning but obnoxious and not knowing when he should shut up. Like in Cutie Mark Catastrophes, he's going on about something or other. Where's that one paragraph? Because I just absolutely have to read the paragraph because it's so awesome.
Right.
There we go. Okay. Give me a couple of seconds to load it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to have to link all of these fics that we've mentioned, aren't I?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Oh, God.
Okay, here's the paragraph. So the setting for it is Brayburn is at Sweet Apple Acres and he's having lunch with Applejack who's pregnant and married to an OC. Big Mac. What the entire thing is shipping OCs for the most part for the main six, but Applejack's married to a bartender who's an alchemist.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
Okay, but Brayburn's having lunch with Applejack, Big Mac, Granny Smith, Apple Bloom, and Rumble, who is heavily slated to be Apple Bloom's cult friend. And it's like a few years and everything after current story, and like all three of the Cutie Mark Crusaders have their cutie marks. Apple Bloom's got hers in carpentry, but Apple Bloom's like, mallet. Apple Bloom corrected and official stuff. I won't stand for any pony getting the two mixed up. It's a mallet, not a hammer, and no, they ain't the same. A hammer is a mallet that had an identity crisis and tried to grow teeth out of the back of its head. Now, a mallet, that's a respectable tool. Knows what it's for and don't leave room for mistakes. You lay your plans, you pound the nails, and do it right the first time. Just shy of 12, and she's already as sharp as a tack, Brayburn exclaimed, beaming across at his little cousin. Clever mind, plenty of know-how, and the skills to back it up. You're growing into a right fine mare, Apple Bloom. Apple Bloom was blown away. After all her worrying and pointing of the proverbial hoof at some pony she barely had any dealing with, its forthright outspokenness in praise had actually bought her a measure of pride for her talent, something that wasn't often there despite her ever-present excitement over all things fixable. For a small, seemingly insignificant allotment of time, Apple Bloom saw her day laid out before her like a map, with laughs and goodwill dotting every waypoint. Speaking of being a mare, I'm just curious, have you hit estrus yet?
Brayburn!
Exactly. The aforementioned map, imagined as though it was, erupted into a magnificent pillar of flame and left not but a pile of ash for Apple Bloom to cling to as her hair was draped around her shoulders like a wet blanket that made itchy canvas. Her head slowly sinking from view as she hid herself underneath the table. Normally, one to respond calmly, there was a painfully solid-sounding thwack. Big Macintosh applied his hoof to the center of his forehead. His sentiments very much shared by a livid Applejack who absolutely couldn't believe that her cousin, intelligence level aside, but even...
That was...
Flutter out a sentence, imploring the timeless wisdom of her elder to bring an end to the madness and placate the tension in her hoofs that threatened to extend Brayburn's visit by a few days while he recovered in the hospital. Granny Smith, ain't you going to say something? Of course. It would certainly explain how much time she spends in the barn, now don't it? Had Big Mac removed his hoof, it would surely have descended again with much more force. Best be careful, Rumbo. Fillies are known to get mighty frisky around that time. Aghast, Applejack sat down hard, staring blankly at nothing in particular, before a wavering voice dripping with desperation sounded muffled from underneath the table. Permission to run away, scream, sis?
that was hilarious.
Yes.
And
this author, Cerulean, Cerulean 1313, will leave you in stitches time and time again. Like, I leave people in stitches a lot. He leaves me in stitches so much.
Yeah, and I want to know how we got from the topic of Trixie to Estrus.
Oh, because somehow we were going on about... because here's how we got here, in case you've totally forgotten. We got here because Sir Luca here was telling me that he liked how I had Trixie, and I was saying that there were a few different ways in which I had seen Trixie. One of them was off of Arrow Streaming, in which there were a few weird combinations of pairings, in which one of them was Rarity Brayburn. So then we got started talking about Brayburn and how he was saying that he was done as gay, and I haven't seen Brayburn portrayed as gay, but I did see Brayburn portrayed hilariously. So then I went and I found the fic. I read a couple of paragraphs in which Brayburn is just horribly dumb as nails, and just not sharp at all about conversations and what he can and can't say.
Yeah,
especially
Brayburn.
Some pony Apple Bloom really likes.
Yeah, Brayburn. I've only really ever seen him depicted as gay. My friend actually follows a Tumblr relating to that. I'm not going to get any deeper into this because we've been at this for almost, more than 5 minutes now. Almost 6 minutes.
Okay, anyways, let's get back. Riku just finished talking. Why don't you give being friends a shot?
Yeah. Ray smiled as Trixie gasped, a bit of shock, and was that hope evident in the unicorn's voice when she next spoke. I would like to be your friend, Twilight Sparkle, if you'll have me. She extended a hoof. Twilight frowned. All right, but on one condition. Trixie gulped, and Ray held her breath. I remember a pony coming into Ponyville named the Great and Powerful Trixie, Echo. And I would like to make friends with her. More Echo! She smirked. You just don't sound quite the same being melancholic instead of snarky. Trixie raised her head and snorted. The Great and Powerful Trixie felt that her heartfelt appreciation would be music to your tender heartstrings, Twilight Sparkle, but Trixie must have assumed wrongly. All was silent for a few seconds. Trixie lowered her head only slightly from its haughty position, and a crooked grin spread on her face. She extended her hoof once more, and Twilight bumped it. Sora chuckled behind her, and Ray looked up to see him rolling his eyes. Glad to have you aboard, Great and Powerful Trixie. Perhaps you'd be interested in learning where we're off to in the morning. Have to scroll down. If Trixie is being forced to leave this bed in the care of Canterlot Castle's physicians, then yes, Trixie would like to know where she shall be journeying. Applejack groaned. This is gonna get old fast, she mumbled. We're heading to Ponyville, Kyrie told the showmare. Trixie's eyes shrunk perceivably, so rest up. Twilight Sparkle, Trixie Lulamoon? Ray nearly jumped to the moon at the volume of the voice that now assaulted her ears. Whirling around again to face the door, she spotted Princess Luna. Everybody's manes blew in the wind generated from the voice of the Princess of the Night. Aha! We have found thee at last! We require thy measurement!
We require thy measurement!
I read a fic, the first chapter of a fic the other day. It's on the feature bar, I believe, right now. Nightmare Woon.
Yes, I have seen that. I have not read it yet.
They give the best description for the way Luna speaks.
I'll have to look up Nightmare Woona. Or Nightmare Woon, whatever it is.
Yeah, Yeah, basic concept is when Nightmare Moon was defeated, she separated her essence from Luna, and then it recollected. Yeah, right in front of the princesses and Twilight. You could guess how that went.
That is gonna be so funny. Hilarity ensues.
It was hilarious before the introduction of Nightmare Moon. Or Nightmare Woon, rather.
Okay. Last two paragraphs.
Yeah. Her horn glowed dark blue.
Yeah, you are there. Right.
Yeah. Her horn glowed dark blue, raising a measuring tape and making a snapping sound as she tightened it. Trixie gulped. The Ursa Minor was nothing. Now Trixie is frightened. Princess Luna grinned maniacally, rushing into the room with her tape measure levitating in her grasp. Ray leapt away from the alicorn's hooves, watching in bewildered horror as Luna rapidly took the measurements of the two unicorns, while Twilight and Trixie struggled in surprise at the assault of the fiendish tape measure. Luna's eyes were practically glittering, and when she was done and about to leave, they settled on Twilight's friends. An excited flame leapt into them before she wordlessly galloped out of the room, shouting something about hammer and tongs. I love how you portray Luna in this.
You mentioned in the last reading how you get so excited every time I have Luna get excited.
Yeah. Luna is my best pony.
Which is going to be even more epic than on the next chapter.
The one you're working on, or the one after this?
The one after this one.
Yeah,
I don't have any plans for Luna in chapter 11, but as you know, chapter 9 there is a big part of portion which is Rarity and Luna. So
that also gives everyone an idea of how much backlog I have.
Meh.
Okay, so that's the end of this chapter.
You feel like doing the next one right now? It's 13,000 words long, and we'll keep the chatting to a minimum.
Yeah. Alright, chatting to a minimum might be difficult.
Yeah, it's 11:08 your time too. So I don't know how late you're willing to spend Saturday night up until Sunday morning.
I could keep going.
Okay, because I've got Sunday off, and I also have Monday off as well. So
yeah,
so I'm good to stay up.
Yeah, but so the chapter's over. Let's just end the recording now. So I've been Saluka,
and this is Shire Folk,
and we will see you next time for chapter 9, Evening Discourse.
May the grace of the Valor protect you.
See y'all next time.